Hello, my beautiful friend. Oh, I'm Serenity Ravenwolf.
And I'm Robert Hubbs, and no, we haven't forgotten who we are. Together, we are Love Heals Humanity.
Absolutely. Thank you for picking me up on the Slack. I'm just having techie issues as I'm coming in going, oh, what the?
A-
Yes.
And everything was fine like 1 minute before we started. And then, it's all good. It takes courage, which leads us into today's topic, the gift of courage. And it's not what you think. And it's not just persevering when your stuff lets you down. Although, I guess that's a great jumping on to the topic is that courage has often been associated with these big acts of bravery and largely this, bravado and macho and all things tough and stepping into the jaws of the lion and running into the burning building. And sure, that takes courage, but those are one thing, big things one time. And I think as you and I've talked about, Serenity, courage is so much more than that.
Yeah. And everything that you just mentioned is valid and it's a part of it. Like all of those courageous acts of
Hmm.
whatever are valid, but it's also on the softer side of things, which is softer doesn't necessarily mean less active and less powerful. In fact, just us showing up when we're experiencing tech issues is really, really courageous. Yet I haven't gone out and slain a dragon, you know? Serenity the Dragon Slayer, I don't think so. I'm a dragon healer, more dragon lover. Though, like, even it's part of our evolution to move from like our old medieval times of where courage and courageousness and being courageous was only associated with like slaying dragons and fighting wars in battles, whether it be swords or with nuclear bombs, you know. Heaven forbid. God bless our cotton socks. Human suits were pretty darn cute when I was quite so bright. Um, uh, the greatest act of courage that I ever stepped forward and brought into my life was when I was about 38. Speaking of not always quite so bright, is when I looked in the mirror, that defining moment that I had, when I decided in that moment to be stop being my own world's worst abuser, to set boundaries, and setting boundaries is something that a lot of we energetically sensitive souls struggle with. Yet that was while it was the greatest act of courage for myself, and not just myself, my children, because now they understand boundaries. They grew up understanding boundaries rather than passing my lack of boundaries onto the next generation. They've learned it as well, but it was the greatest gift for me. Was it easy in the beginning? Absolutely not. But I learned little phrases along the lines of, thank you for that wonderful opportunity to, clean your house and toilet for the next year. That was amazing of you to think of me like that. Yet that doesn't actually work for me. And I'd say it with love in my heart and a smile. Just the phrase, that doesn't work for me.
That's a
Come
good
from a
one.
place of gratitude, of thank you for the opportunity to, or that wonderful opportunity, or that wonderful opportunity to be of service to you, or though that doesn't work for me. It's a really nice way of saying thanks, but no thanks. And as you're transitioning in this, it's really hard for we energetically sensitive souls often to say no. And yet, saying yes all the time is sometimes enabling other people's problems, their addictions. And the most loving thing that you can do, not only for yourself, your family, your loved ones, and the other people, is to say no. And if you're
Yeah.
struggling to actually say no, little phrases along the lines like that one that I just mentioned, or that is actually saying no without actually saying no. That was the most powerful phrase I had. Thanks, but that doesn't work for me. Or I'd say, depending on who it is and what it was, think that doesn't work for me at this time, which still leaves the door open for them to ask you at some other time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I can choose to say, thanks, but that doesn't work for me for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Or at some point I can close the door.
That's, it's so true that sometimes not doing something takes more courage than doing something. It takes very little courage to do whatever you're pleasing other people, and that's not a pathway to their happiness or our own or anybody's sometimes, because often they don't learn to stand on their own. They don't learn to solve their own problems. I mean, it takes courage as a parent to not bail your kid out of a problem when they're in deep. It takes courage as in a business when you're up against something and you have to say, no, I'm sorry, I'm gonna turn down that work, and the money that goes with it, and maybe the fame and the adulation. Yeah, that never happens. But
well, maybe.
It takes courage to say no.
Yes. Very. Very. Yet it is the greatest gift we give ourselves. It's a part of our evolution from, there's a lot of being spoken about, being in 3D, and we're going from 3D to 5D, to stop. And part of that journey is, again, one of my favoriteest topics is to stop being your own world's worst abuser, of which we all are. Nobody on this planet knows how to abuse you and hurt you to the core like you do. To being our own divinely loving presence and guide. And that is all a part of it. Boundaries was just a part of the puzzle. When we're not saying no and having boundaries and all of that stuff, we're giving our power away unknowingly to others. This, in a way, disempowers us and gives us less, energy. That's the best word that's coming through. Less energy for our journey, our path of evolution, for fulfilling the mission and reason that we chose to be here at this auspicious, wonderful, amazing
time. That's one of those less love things that you've talked about, and that's not what, as you say, that's not what we all deserve. We deserve more love, not less. And that pathway of no, sometimes the courage for that is just more love for ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you've just joined us, thank you for joining us. And if you're enjoying our shows, because this is show number 8, yay! I'd love to request that you subscribe, because we shush this over to YouTube when the show is done, and on our YouTube channel. So I'd love you to subscribe over there and click the bell and click all, so that you're notified of all our new yummy stuff that's popping up. And in Facebook, there's some way to do that. I just haven't worked it out yet. Either way, there's an event created, and yes, I
climb
share the
a rope
event.
and grab a piece of cheese and ring a bell.
Feels like that sometimes.
Yeah.
And if you've got any questions, please, in the comments, say hi. Let us know where you are in the world. And or please feel free to ask questions in the comments, because we'd absolutely love to answer them live, because it feeds the show. And you can have like a one-on-one with Robert and or I, and have your questions answered in the moment. Or I'm pretty notorious for quite a while going back and checking the comments to check the replay if there's questions there that I can answer, and I answer them. So in the comments, say hi. I'm in Australia, Robert's in Canada.
And one of the questions that I know has come up, and not just on this chat and on other discussions, but in some of the group conversations and even in person before that, is, how do you build up that courage? How do you find within yourself that courage? And before I ask that question of you, Serenity, how would you recommend that someone help build that courage in their life? I know for myself that I never felt that I had a hard time finding courage. But again, it was for those big things, the sports that I do, the jumping off cliffs on skis or on a mountain bike. That just felt natural to me. That felt right. And those smaller things sometimes felt harder. Like I wasn't summoning this energy. I didn't have to dig deep to, jump off a cliff. It didn't feel like I had to do anything special. And I've talked to other people who have that same experience, but at the same time, I think far more people have that moment of, I don't know how to be courageous in this moment.
And then, yeah, that takes me back to that's God, letting us know that what I'm about to say is absolutely correct. Robert and I have grown used to that. For me, it's, we are evolving from the giving away our power and enabling others with their problems and stuff to, like, use the key phrase of reclaiming that power, and embracing empowered individuals to create a stronger whole, as in humanity, as in love heals humanity, not just Serenity or Robert. And there's my notification, because there you go. Robert and I always laugh at that. That's like God saying absolutely correct, Serenity. Always comes in at the perfect time. So yeah, it's about reclaiming our power, owning our power, stepping into our power, radiating our power. Individually, we are strong and courageous in so many little and big ways. Yet together we are infinitely unstoppable. This is the collective stronger whole. And learning to love your heart when so many people are walking around in their triggeredness and their unhealedness and their hurt and their pain and their anguish and their suffering and their challenges. That is one of the most courageous things, because in a way, stepping onto the battlefield, jumping off a cliff, making that choice to be courageous in those moments, in a way, you don't have a choice. Once you've left that cliff, you better be courageous, because it's happening. Yet the choice, when it's courage that comes from a choice we make, in a way, that is way more courageous than walking onto the battlefield or doing something where you have to be courageous. I have a choice to love my own heart. I can choose to walk around like everybody else in pain, anguish, and suffering. But I personally don't see how that serves myself, my loved ones, my greater community, humanity, the planet, and the all there is.
Mm-hmm.
We have the beautiful Ron. Let's drop Ron's comment. Yep. Hey Ron, I love you, honey. I love you, I love you, I love you. It says, hello, I recently mistakenly thought that I was being courageous and overconfident to the point of failing a simple test for my job. Interesting. Actually, I have no answer for that. Robert, do you have something? I went blank.
Courage isn't courage without fear. Courage isn't courage without consequence. Courage isn't courage without mistakes and lessons. Jumping off the cliff and blowing your knee out, and then having the courage to come back, having the courage to admit that you screwed up, having the courage to admit that you went into this without the preparation, with maybe being too cocky about it. To step back from that, to own that takes a level of courage.
Yeah, and
to own that and recover from it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And now that you've mentioned it, Robert, there's always, how do you know when you're being courageous? There's this little fear behind it, little butterflies in your tummy, that little voice in your head questioning, am I doing the right thing? Am I saying the right thing? Because when I made that choice, like every day, to love my own heart, although it's not as courageous anymore, it's like a muscle. So courage is like a muscle that we build up. it's no longer really it is overall courageous, but I don't have that fear anymore. So I have now stepped into that confidence. And so that doesn't necessarily mean, Ron, that you weren't being courageous because you felt confident. They can actually exist at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, when we are being courageous, not everyone, like running onto the battlefield or loving my own heart or going somewhere or doing something, that doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to win or do it right or, you know, not be hurt or maimed or people laugh at me. It's when we step into our power and build up that muscle, I don't care really too much if people laugh at me anymore. That would be their interesting point of view. Thanks for sharing it. Though I like me and I love me, therefore that gives me this, I don't know, unstoppable, unmovable force that I have within, this like strength, this foundation that is amazing.
And it takes more courage to be wrong than it does to be right, because making a bet and having it work out is perfectly fine. Taking a bet and having it not work out is so much harder, and someone is just chasing me down.
It's also so much better too, because like that's the regret. We can get to our deathbed ready to draw our last breath, and you look at all those moments, the little things and the big things, that where you could have been courageous, like love my own heart, take the chance to go live our dream life, to leave that relationship, to leave that 30, 40, 50-year marriage because it no longer works for you, because who you are right here, right now, today isn't necessarily who you were freaking 5 minutes ago, let alone 1 year ago or 10 years ago. This like until death do us part thing, like where did that come from? That's insane.
And death of what? Death of our soul or death of our body? Because if, you know, we make a commitment to something that we're never going to stop and it's killing us piece at a time, it's killing our love, it's killing our emotions, it's killing our spirit, it's killing our willingness to live and to grow. It doesn't have to kill our body to be killing us. We don't have to be no longer fogging a mirror to be dead. Sometimes being dead inside is way worse, and we should probably get out of whatever it is before that happens.
And the more courageous we are as we step into our power and reclaim our power moving forward, the better we all are. You know, this is like peace on earth coming at us fast, like the wind behind us, pushing us forward and into this. And if I have one request of everyone, is to take the chance. Start this journey by loving your own heart, if not for you or for your loved ones, for whole humanity as a race. Because can you imagine our world when we step forward and reclaim and step into our courageousness, our power, and love our own hearts and allow that to overflow? Sorry, that felt yummy for just a second. I hope you felt it. We have Marie that's joined us from Fort Stewart, and I have no idea what the abbreviate. Robert, can you help? GA, what's that stand for?
GA is Georgia.
I was going to say Georgia, but that would be like GO. Like, anyway. I'm an Aussie, so I know what QLD stands for and NSW stands. Yeah. And, you know, our moment at this time in our lives and in our evolution as a race of humanity is ripe for new choice. Choice that supports us and others in a mutually beneficial exchange of love. And real courage has never, ever been about a battle being won. It's a battle or a challenge that has been transformed into growth and improvement, which is what Robert and I have been speaking about on this wonderful, awesome, exciting show today. Yeah, and often that means resisting the urge to have power over others. This is where we are at this transition time, like we were mentioning, from 3D to 5D. Is 3D reality is all about service to self and power over others, and we are stepping into the new paradigm, the new way, the new state of being of service to others. And in a way, that's why Robert and I are here, because we love you all just so absolutely very, very much. And nothing feeds our soul more than to be here and present for you during this time of transition. And I feel absolutely blessed to be here to support you and serve you along the way. I get all gooey and gushy. Anyway,
So maybe some thoughts on how people can focus that energy from within themselves. I think it's time for some affirmations.
Yeah, and I'd like to finish off on just one thought. Just one.
Just one.
Which so try again. That which challenges us offers a gift. Courage is embracing the challenge by trusting I am capable of moving through it. You got this. We got this. And together we are unstoppable. So I'd like to quickly, before we jump into the affirmations, just mention that Robert and I are creating
Well, I'll just pick up while you're doing that. We're creating a 6 weeks program for finding your soulmate. It's called Soulmate Success Secrets, and we're just putting some finishing touches on it, getting ready to take that out to the world. And we're really excited. We'd love to have you join us. It's something that has been a passion project for Serenity and I for some time, and we're seeing it come together. So we're really excited to be sharing that.
We're being very courageous at stepping out into the world and sharing what we know. Yeah. So I'd like to move into the portion. Thank you for being with us, everybody. Still, we are moving into the most amazing part of the show. Not that all of it isn't amazing, but I don't know. Can it get even more amazing? Of course it can. We're in an infinite universe, right? Where we move into the healing part. I'll share a handful of affirmations with you, and then I'll spend a couple of minutes creating an energy ball of healing and transformation, even transmutation, which is even more. Transmutation is like when a caterpillar turns into a butterfly. It comes out of that chrysalis absolutely nothing like what and who it was when it entered. That's transmutation. So I'd like us to expand our energies out into the universes and beyond, and to get out of our heads and down into our hearts. A feather of any shape, color, or size will be in our mind's eye, and it will do as feathers do, gently dropping down, 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 landing gently in the sacred space of our hearts. The courage of my heart is amplified to flow boldly into my life. Releasing fear and misinformation allows me to embrace and embody my empowered love. My courage is an inner journey of compassion. Patience and neutrality quell fear and create calm courage. I develop the courage to look at the undesired aspects of myself or others while maintaining nurturing love. I have the courage to allow another to be as they are, even while holding my boundaries. I take a risk and share my unique expression. I take ownership of my life and take action on my dreams. I can feel fear and move forward at the same time. I am excited to see what moving through fear teaches me about myself. It is in the darkness that I shine brightest. I am light. I am love. I am brave. Courage fills my body and radiates from my heart. Now moving into the I'll just bring up the energy ball that I created a little earlier. Oh, laughter's good for our souls. Expands our energies further out into the universes and beyond. I love you. I love you. Here comes the energy. I love you. 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 Oh, beautiful one. I love you. Welcome home, beautiful. Welcome home. Okay, I'm feeling the energy dissipate. Yep. Are you ready to receive the yumminess of this energy ball? On the count of 3, open your hearts. 1, 2, 3. That's right. Right there. I love you.
And I want to thank everyone for being here with us today. It's such a great journey that we can all be on together. And I hope you can join us next week. We'll be talking about scarcity. Yes, scarcity, and how it is uncreating a truly abundant reality for all of us. And I know that's not what any of us want, need, or deserve. We don't deserve scarcity.
Yeah. And we'll join you same time, same day, next week. Until then, I love you. Bye.
Bye.